The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
The content heard on the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show is for informational or educational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice or consultation with healthcare professionals.
Hi, this is Dr. Thomas O'Brien. For almost 25 years, I specialize in offering families an affordable concierge service to avoid paying costly medical insurance or unreachable deductibles without giving up premium health care. As an osteopath, I offer osteopathic adjustments alongside medical examinations. Also, I offer discounts to military and first responders. I am now accepting no-fault patients, which include osteopathic adjustments, medical treatments, and prescription services, including medical marijuana. At my practice, my patients never pay copays and still receive the most personal and complete medical care. I have spent my career devoted to providing healthcare at affordable prices. Everybody should have a relationship with their physician. I work for you and your family. The honor and privilege is mine. If you have been in an automobile accident, please call my office at 631-980-8200 for an immediate appointment. To learn more about me and my practice, visit drtomio.com. Again, I am accepting no-fault patients. Call my office for an immediate appointment, 631-980-8200. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas O'Brien. The Ask Dr. Tommy O Show can be heard every Wednesday at 4 p.m. on 103.9 LI News Radio. I offer a very affordable concierge practice, which allows you access to the quality care you really deserve. With no rush office visits, both you and I can discuss your healthcare needs. If you wait, it may be too late. To my military family, I got your six. To my Masonic brothers, the light is bright. I want you to please welcome my co-host, Sammy Vanny. Welcome.
How you doing?
All right. How are you today?
Good. Tired, but
Tired?
Good.
It's cold.
It's a little windy out today.
It's very windy.
Almost got knocked over.
Oh, boy. All right. So today I have a special show. We're going to invited Ken Auerbach. He's the senior partner of Cartier Bernstein, Auerbach, and Steinberg PC. He specialized in personal injury and as well as other areas of legal representation. So, Ken, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Doc. Good to be here.
Yes, I was on your show this past Monday. The feedback was phenomenal.
That was a great show, actually.
It was.
That was a really good show because what we got to do is we got to show people essentially how you interview them when you're going ahead and you're examining them. And I think that was really important because people need to know what to say and how to present themselves and information to give you.
Absolutely. I received several phone calls over the past couple of days. We listened to you on your show. I said, no, it wasn't my show. It was Ken's show. And he has a show every Monday. I said, my show's on Wednesday. But very informative. And again, like as you just said, that it's walking through the step-by-step process. And that's important for someone who's never experienced a car injury, a motor vehicle accident, I should say, and then sustain injuries. And what's the process?
Yeah, I think it's important because I tell my clients that, look, they have to be invested in getting better. And it's really not about a case. It's first about them and getting better. And so for me, when there are doctors like yourself, and you are special, and I know you don't pat yourself on the back, but I can, that it makes a difference when there's a doctor who looks at the person as a whole, takes the time to examine that person literally from top to bottom, and even in an area that may not be within your specialty, you're not afraid to go ahead and say to somebody, listen, you need to see this other specialist, but you identify the different issues. And so it's important because a person's in an accident, they've been traumatized. They're really focused only on their pain center. They're not focused on all the symptoms. And I really got to tell you, that's where you come in. And that's, honestly, where I believe that you could be distinguished in a positive way from other medical practitioners who are just really focused on one area of the body.
Right. You take a holistic approach. All right, so we're going to say Sammy was involved in a car accident.
Yeah. Well, actually, my mom was recently in a car accident. That's why she comes to see you now, because now her neck hurts all the time. So she's always complaining about it. But she was in a car accident recently. I was in one bad one, but I wasn't the one driving.
Right.
And I hurt my ankle like really badly, but I didn't get it checked out, and now it just hurts constantly.
Constantly?
So,
All right.
yeah, but that was my fault.
So what was your experience? So you're representing an individual was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and you're looking for legal representation. So what questions would you ask Ken?
What's the first step that I would take, honestly?
So the first thing that you should do is make sure at the scene, if you can, call the police. Get the police to the scene. Big mistake that people make is they don't. And then what happens is people tend to not say the truth later. And so get the police to the scene. It's more likely that you'll get the truth out. I just had somebody today, I did a deposition of somebody as an example. And the accident was from actually 6 years ago, or 5.5 years ago. And the defendant testified that the accident happened very different from the way it happened. Said that he hit a vehicle in the rear, but it wasn't as a result of him. What he said to the police was that he had looked down for the cigarette lighter and then looked up. So when I did the deposition today, it was totally different. He doesn't remember anything about saying that to the police, doesn't remember making that statement. So that's the first thing. The next thing to do is if you're feeling pain at the scene, report it. Sometimes it's really necessary to go to an emergency, to a hospital, or go to a doctor emergently, and so make sure you report it. If you don't feel pain right away, follow it up and call a medical person. I recommend, and I think Dr. Tom is great. I mean, he's one of my favorites because what he does is he looks at the patient as a whole, and I think that's really important. And make sure that you put your health as a priority, because a lot of times you'll do exactly what you just said a couple of minutes ago is you won't put yourself as a priority. There's other things going on in your life, and then what happens is you're still living with the pain later.
Yeah, it progresses over time, and now I'm here, but but yeah, usually people don't want to call. Some people say like, oh, insurance purposes, things like that. Like I know things like that happens a lot too, but I guess now I know.
Now, I wouldn't talk. The other thing that I wouldn't do is you should call your own insurance company and report the accident. You have to do that. But oftentimes the insurance company for the party that's caused the accident, they'll start reaching out to you. And they'll reach out to you really early and try to get you to sign a release, basically giving up your right to sue them for a very small amount of money. And I tell people that really isn't smart to do it, because right at the beginning, like, you really don't know. You don't know the extent of your injury. Now, I think there should be laws passed, and I've talked about it, and insurance regulations in the state of New York that prevents a opposite party from speaking to anybody about personal injuries. They should be able to talk to them about property damage and resolving that. But the first 6 months, I believe it really should be off limits. And if you do it, you should have to speak to an attorney representing that person, because I have people, they sign off on their case, and it turns out they'll come to me and they're significantly hurt, and they've already signed a release. So I tell you and I instruct people, don't do that. Make sure not to do that. The insurance companies are not on your side. They're not interested actually in getting you justice.
Right. That's exactly. When the patients come to my office, they ask me questions. Well, I'm getting phone calls that said the first thing you want to do is you have legal representation, and I'll say you have Ken representing you, so he's here for your best interest. Do not speak to those individuals from the insurance companies. Let Ken speak on your behalf. Defer to my legal team, but to my legal representation, because they're going to try to get you to sign off on whatever it is, because they want to save money, okay? Because their best interest is them and not you. So I would say let your legal representation speak on your behalf.
I think that's really, really good advice. And, we were on the radio the other day, Dr. Tom, on Monday, and one of the things that I really wanted to show people is how the legal process and how the medical process, they're two separate systems, but they really do work in conjunction if a person is seriously hurt. And so what we were trying to show them is that I, as the lawyer, when I'm questioning my client and going through things, I should be listening. I should be paying attention. If a person's complaining of a problem, I always say to them, well, did you go seek out medical attention for it? I'm not only focused on what is obvious.
Right.
And I think the same thing for you. And I think that's really when you know that you're in a good spot. When the lawyer is just paying attention and listening and making sure that you're taking care of yourself first and you're getting for the right medical care. And also the doctor and the medical provider is paying attention also. Because if they're not doing that and you just go into one of these factories and you're in there, you're sitting there for 2 hours to be looked at for 10 minutes, you're not in the right place. You're not going to a place that you're gonna get better. And the idea is to get better, right?
Exactly. All right,
That's
so
why
we're
you
down
have to go to Dr. Tommy O.
Yeah, exactly. All right, they're down to 39 seconds. So
Alrighty, for the next month, we're giving away 50 vouchers for a full body adjustment, including a detailed physical and spinal examination, along with a personalized adjustment treatment plan, all for just $49, normally a $250 total value. This is a limited time offer as we have a lot of interest. So we encourage you to call the office today and schedule your appointment. We look forward to serving you.
excellent. And if you're looking for representation from Ken and his legal team,
You always could call me at 631-654-4900, 631-654-4900, or get us on the web at myinjuryli.com.
all right, if you're looking for my service, go to drtommyo.com, drtommyo.com. Welcome back to the X Dr. Tommy O Show. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas O'Brien. The X Dr. Tommy O Show can be heard every Wednesday at 4 p.m. on 103.9 LA News Radio. And I want to welcome back Sammy Vanny
Hi, guys.
and Ken Auerbach. Ken, welcome.
Hey, it's really good to be here, Doc.
All right. So I want to let's continue where we left off. Your expertise, legal representation in this particular topic, a personal injury or no fault. I know you specialize. I mean, you practice in other. Your firm specializes in other fields as well. If you would like to discuss that.
So, yeah, my partner concentrates in estate planning, wills, trust, estate. We do commercial litigation, civil litigation. We also do real estate. Pretty much everything you think of, we do pretty much. And but I do all the personal injury. So it really is a really good fit. My partner is a great lawyer, Rob Steinberg, and we have a great staff. But really enjoy helping people, trying to help people get fairly and justly compensated. And it really is an opportunity. I call it my privilege, a blessing to be able to help people when they most need it. And it really excites me when I see a person particularly get better. I want them to get better. I don't want them to be hurt. And go and get the right type of medical treatment. And I've told you, I think I said on my show the other day that one of my clients, all my clients that have been at your office and then somehow they get to me, they will say that you're different. And different in a positive way because you take the time, you really, really focus on it them as a person. And there are things that you have found that other doctors really have missed. They just miss it. And I'm not saying there aren't other good doctors, but I think your model in terms of how you treat people is different. It really is different. And I would strongly encourage you to go see Dr. Tommy O'Brien. If a person's in a car accident case, if they're injured as a result of anything, I would go see him because I know the one thing about it is when the information comes back after the clients have seen you is you're really exhaustive. And there's not going to be something where they're suffering with some condition that you just sort of pushed aside, weren't paying attention to. And so greatly encourage people to come see you.
Right. Well, let's say that I get the same feedback when my patients come back to me after visiting your office and your staff. Very warm. It's almost identical to my practice, and your approach is like mine. I tell my patients, and I know you say the same to your clients, you treat them like family. You're going to go over and beyond, and that's what we do, and that's why we're synergistic. We work together, and the goal is to make the patient, one, well again, and to give them the best representation that you can, represent and offer. And they come back and they're very, very happy. They feel comfortable. I say, this is my house, and I want you to be comfortable in my house, and this is now your house. All my patients are like family.
That's a good way to do it. I just saw a little pup in the airport, and I can tell you that we're very pup friendly too. Yes. We love pups in our office. Pups come in there, I sit there, they relax me, and but all kidding aside, it really is a privilege when you get to help people who are hurting and who are broken, and you're trying to go ahead and help them in a time when they really don't know kind of which way to look. You have people with all different types of injuries. They're not used to this. It's not something that you're just used to having happen to you. And that's why we're there. And come to us. I tell people, listen, just call me, pick up the phone. The sooner you pick up the phone and call me, the better, because what's not going to happen is you're not going to make mistakes. You're not going to be manipulated by an insurance company. You're going to be directed to make sure that you go get your right medical treatment, that you're not going to sit there and not put yourself as a priority. So, I think all of those things are important, but we do try to be different because we do care about people in particular. Absolutely.
I think one area that I would like to bring up is the post-traumatic stress that occurs that needs to be addressed, that's not addressed. I have a mutual patient, that just recently mentioned that he's starting to experience post-traumatic, stress, afraid to drive, and especially going through intersections, because that's where the motor vehicle accident occurred. So what I did was I can go over coping mechanisms, but I said I'd like you to see a psychologist so we can discuss this. All right, and that's definitely overlooked in practices.
I think that's definitely true. Really, really true. So everybody responds differently to an accident. Everybody responds differently to being in a traumatic situation. And for some people, it may not have that great of effect on them emotionally. And for other people, it could have a great effect on it. So when you take the time like you do it and listen to the person and realize that, they're not just making something up. They don't want to feel that way. And by directing them to the right place. So you listened, you heard something that's going on in that person's life, there's a problem, and you didn't just treat them like everybody else. You didn't treat them like, and I joke around, I said, so if you go into a restaurant, let's say you were going to buy food at a Chinese food restaurant, right? You have a combination plate, and it has all the, the same basic numbers. It's very different, right? Human beings are different. Human beings aren't just 10 different combinations. And so you take that person as you find them, you want to make them feel better, you want to make sure that they're getting the right treatment, and you want to make sure that they're doing right by themselves. And if a person has traumatic or has post-traumatic stress or has trauma or has a head injury, that person sometimes is not thinking clearly. Mm-hmm. And so you need to have the doctor paying attention to the details. And that's first and foremost, get the right medical care. And once that happens, from a legal standpoint, the other stuff will fall into place because I'll be able to now demonstrate or support what those injuries are. And so the two should come together if it's done right. Oftentimes I see it, there's incredible holes in it because there's not details. There's not attention paid to the details.
Right. Well, that's that makes the difference. I always said, we all have the same baseline knowledge. You graduate medical school, you go to residency. I said, what makes the difference between each physician? It's details. Do you pay attention to details? And I focus on the details, those subtle changes. Like I'm a ringside physician, so I do amateurs and pros. So when I'm doing neurological examinations, pre-bout, post-bout, I'm looking for those subtle neurological changes because that's when it occurs. After, because I have a baseline before they get into the ring. Well, it's the same thing. All right, well, the person had a car accident. I don't know them, but I have an understanding of what a baseline should be, okay, a generalized baseline. I'm looking for those subtle changes, neurological changes, whether they're looking at me, making eye contact, or if there's any changes in their voice. I will ask them, is this your normal voice? If they're stuttering or just something a little bit different out of the normal, and say, we need to address this.
Well, I think the important part is what you said is what's your normal. And if I took each person the same and I just assume that everyone's basically the same, then you're going to miss something. You can miss it. So if I have a person who's having a head injury and they have never had problems, let's say, with mathematics, or they've never had problems speaking, and it turns out now they do, well, something's going on. Have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's something that I'm going to start incorporating, go back into, maybe have the patient start drawing on a piece of paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, it sounds silly, but it's not. And there should be no difference how a professional treats someone than a person who is not a professional. Okay, mm-hmm. Everybody should treat everybody as they're important, and whatever you're doing, okay, do it well. And I'd like to say that everybody within my profession and everybody within your profession does see it the same way. Unfortunately, they don't. So, but I do tell people they're different. So you have to make those choices. You have to get the right people to see you medically, and hopefully you do get the right person to see you legally. We'd love to help you if we could.
Right. Well, if I need legal representation, I need your contact information.
Okay, so you can get us at 631-654-4900. It's 631-654-4900. My name's Ken Auerbach, and love to speak to you, love to help you, and go see Dr. Tom. I'm telling you, it's different. Okay, that's all I can tell you. Go see him. And by the way, his office is amazing.
There you go.
For the next month, we're giving away 50 vouchers for a full body adjustment, including a detailed physical and spinal examination, along with the personalized adjustment treatment plan, all for just $49, normally a $250 total value. This is a limited time offer as we have had a lot of interest, so we encourage you to call the office today and schedule your appointment. We look forward to serving you.
Thank you very much. Ken, thank you for being on the show. Sammy, thank you for being on the show.
It was great. It was awesome, and Sammy's awesome too.
Thank you.
The content heard on the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show is for informational or educational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice or consultation with healthcare professionals.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.